Welcome one and all to Straight Arrow, a channel where we'll always give it to you straight about true crime. Today we'll be discussing the case of Libby Squire, a young lady whose light was extinguished on February 1st, 2019. Liberty Anna Squire, known as Libby to everyone that knew her, was born on January the 1st, 1998. She was raised in West Wickham, Buckinghamshire, England. She was a student at University of Hull, where she studied philosophy. On January 31st, 2019, a 21-year-old Libby was out partying with her friends, going to different night spots throughout Hull, East Yorkshire, England. That was until about 11:20. They tried to gain access to a club called Welly. The bouncers, you see, thought Libby may have had a little too much of the sauce already, so they didn't allow her in, so her friends sent Libby home in a cab. According to the cabbie, she was dropped off to her home on Wellesley Avenue at about 11:30. But they believe she never actually went into her house. You see, she was witnessed being down on Beverly Road, about half a mile away from her home 10 minutes after she was dropped off home. Multiple witnesses had seen Libby sitting at the side of the road crying. Some had tried to help her, but due to her inebriated state, she was almost impossible to understand, and even, at some point, was a bit aggressive. So they opted to leave her be and go on about their business. And that was the last time anyone seen her alive. That is, except for one person. Upon being reported missing, the Humberside police, along with Libby's parents, took to the media to ask the public for any info they may have. It was one of the biggest missing person investigations that the Humberside police ever had. It involved more than 100 cops, which went door to door asking the citizens of Hull if anyone witnessed anything. They brought in divers to check out the River Hull and the Beverly and Barmston drains, and they checked out the local dumpsters as well. But their first big break in the case didn't come until they checked out the local CCTV cameras. On this one camera, they viewed a silver Vauxhall Astra cruising around the same area that Libby was last seen. On February 6, 2019, they arrested the driver, one Paweł Relowics, a 24-year-old Polish immigrant from Warszawę, Poland. He moved to the UK in 2015, where he gained employment as a butcher at a meat processing plant in Malton in North Yorkshire. At the time of his arrest, he was married with a couple of kids. Make no mistake, this dude is one sick puppy. In fact, on February the 10th, he was charged with a string of burglaries as well as, shall we say, more intimate crimes that he committed from 2017 until the time of his arrest. None of these crimes were actually connected to Libby, but they were gross nonetheless. Things like pleasuring himself in public, doing the peeping Tom thing on unexpected women, breaking into people's homes and stealing adult toys, women's underwear, as well as cash. In fact, in January 2019, a mere 3 weeks before Libby's disappearance, he pleasured himself in front of 2 different groups of women. And if that's not gross enough, he actually followed one of these groups to their home, where he promptly left some belated Christmas cheer all over their front door. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why the bloody hell didn't he get arrested then? Well, you see, at the time he committed these really gross atrocities, he had no criminal record. So even though he left a lot, and I mean a lot, of DNA evidence behind, they had nothing to match it to. He actually wasn't even charged with these crimes until after he was arrested for Libby's disappearance. At any rate, he was convicted of all 9 of those separate crimes on August 13th and was given 8.5 years. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for this important message. If you're liking this video, then please remember to hit like, subscribe, and share. It'll really help my channel out. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you can be informed about our latest videos. We now return you to your regularly scheduled program. As for Libby, well, unfortunately, her body was indeed found. She was found March 20th, 2019, in the Humber estuary by a fisherman, and on October the 24th, 2019, while still in the clink for his other crimes, Paweł Relowics was charged with the SA and unaliving of Libby Squire. The trial finally started on January 12th, 2021. The Crown, or as the Americans call them, the district attorney, asserted that Relowics was out trolling around the Hull area because he was quote-unquote looking for an opportunity. And he found it in Libby. He seen her at the side of the road intoxicated, and maybe even having a bit of hypothermia. Either by invitation or by force, he got her into his car fully intending to SA her that night. Furthermore, they believe that he took Libby to Oak Road playing fields where he then committed SA and unalived this poor, innocent girl. But Libby didn't go without a fight. She left a series of scratches on his face as she defended herself. After his deed was done, he threw her body into the River Hull. The Crown also pointed out his past offenses during the 18 months that lead up to Libby, saying that he was a man of uncontrollable urges. Yeah, no kidding. But I think calling this POSA man is a bit of a stretch. Anyway, when it comes to his defense, well, he said that he was just trying to be a good Samaritan. You see, he claimed he seen this poor girl, who obviously had 3 sheets to the wind, and well, just stopped to help her. He then took her to the Oak Road playing fields, where they proceeded to make out and have consensual intercourse. You know, as all good Samaritans do. Oh, the scratches? He got those when she tried to kiss him again, and he said no. He then threw her out of his car and went along his good Samaritan way. Dude, you couldn't be more full of BS if you were a cow. The defense also presented some of Libby's medical records that show she did have thoughts of unaliving herself in a river. I guess it was an attempt to prove that she did it to herself, but in the end, it didn't work. On February the 11th, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on both charges. For unaliving Libby, he got life, with no chance of parole for 27 years. And for the charge of SA, he got 18 years. The 2 sentences were to run concurrently. Which I gotta say, I've never really been a big fan of the whole sentences running concurrently thing. I mean, when that happens, one of the sentences just kinda gets consumed by the bigger sentence. It's almost like you're not doing any time for the one sentence at all. I personally believe that the sentences should run back to back. So in this case, instead of him being eligible for parole in 27 years, it should be more like 45 years. But hey, that's just my opinion. But as always, you can let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, after the trial, the Attorney General's office was asked to double-check the sentence under the unduly lenient sentence scheme, which is something they got in the UK, which I kind of think is pretty neat. You see, if you think a sentence was too light, then you have 28 days after the sentence was handed down to ask the Attorney General's office to check it out. And if they find it was too light, then they'd increase it. If not, well then I guess it just stays the same. Of course, in this case, it did indeed stay the same. After Libby's passing, her mother, Libby Squire, started a campaign of trying to get the laws changed so the people who get convicted of non-contact indecent crimes, such as being a peeping Tom, should get stiffer sentences and therapy, because they believe that if you can nip it in the bud, then you may prevent it from going beyond that into the areas of SA and unaliving someone. She even had a meeting with Boris Johnson, who was the Prime Minister at the time, to discuss it. Oh, she also planned to have a face-to-face with the man, if you can indeed call him that took her daughter away from her family. He, of course, chickened out, like all cowards do, unwilling to look into someone's eyes and see the true pain and suffering that he had caused. We here at Straight Arrow would like to extend our sympathies to the Libby Squire family in hopes that one day they will find the peace they need. Well, thank you for stopping by. If you liked this video, then please hit like, subscribe, and share it. It'll really help our channel out. And if you have any cases you'd like me to cover or anything you'd like to comment on, then please, by all means, leave me a post in the comments. Until next time, remember to be straight with yourself and others. Good night.